Good evening, and welcome to the Dr. Kennedy podcast. Today, we have a fantastic guest, Mr. Christopher Orrell. Chris is a 1978 graduate of eastorange High School, a graduate of Fairleigh Dickinson High School, played football for Fairleigh Dickinson, good friend of mine, and probably Chris for me, as I think of Chris as a best friend and guy that I look up to, is that Chris is a role model for dealing with adversity. So anytime there's been a problem in my life or Chris's life and things get tough, Chris is the guy I look to how you handle the adversity of that and keeping a positive attitude. He's had some disabilities in life. Maybe we'll talk about that with him. And just think about it. You might be 60 or 70 now. Things are fine. And then you might have a little bit of adversity in your life. You know, you might have a stroke or something physical happen. And I really look up to Chris because he's handled things really well in terms of how he's dealt with his life. He also comes from a great family. The name Orrell is a great family name in East Orange, and they're a very tight-knit group. And so we want to talk to Chris about the family, how the family is maintained, that tight-knit group over time, and what that means for essentially, their unit going forward in terms of dealing with all types of issues. And so we'll talk to Chris about that. So sit back, relax. Again, we have another action-packed hour on the Dr. Kennedy podcast.
This is Chris Orrell.
Hold up. I got to start over. Didn't do. Oh, here we go. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
All right, Ken Daniels. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, so folks, we have Mr. Christopher Orrell here, and a good friend of mine. I just gave him a nice little introduction. Chris, how you doing? Why don't you tell the folks hello, what you've been up to? What's been going on?
Well, I'm basically currently retired and just taking care of myself at home. Still recovering from serious health injury. Really just taking it easy, relaxing, being with my family, and just staying in touch with things.
Okay, great. Well, I kind of gave you an introduction. Like, in fact, when I was giving my introduction, I said, Chris Orrell is my role model because he's probably a person that knows how to deal with adversity the best, and that you keep a positive attitude, and you've been a role model, and I want to thank you for that. And so as we kind of get to our questions, I want you to kind of think about that in the back of your mind of how we can help others as they might deal with adversity going into our 60s, 70s, and 80s. So let's keep that in mind. So let me jump right into the questions, Chris. I've known you for a long time. That's an understatement. We've been through some wars together. But I know that you're proud of your family. In fact, one of your family is a great family name in East Orange, and you might have one of the tightest family units that I know. So could you talk a little bit about, how your family kept that tight-knit group through all the adversity and stuff, and what that means to you?
Well, my mother and father has a great impact on the family as a whole. My mother and father from Greensboro, North Carolina. They both were children of segregation. My father, a World War II veteran. My mother, AT&T graduate. Actually, I come from a family of educators. My grandmother and my aunt were students at the historical Bennett College in Greensboro. At the time was an all female educators teachers college. They both were married, and we came up to New Jersey in 1953, I believe. I have 7 brothers and sisters. I would say that's a pretty large family, especially at that time. My oldest sister, Cheryl, my sister, Fidelia, my brother, Johnny, Tommy, myself, Maida, and Lisa.
That's interesting. So let's build on that. So you mentioned your mother and father basically leading the family, coming from basically segregated South up to North, optimism, and they land in these stars, and things are going fairly well, and then the family had a tragedy. And
Right.
if you don't mind, talk about that tragedy. I know we might be jumping into the deep end right away, but I think it's for folks to know that, again, you and your family have dealt with this probably better than any family I know and kept on moving. So,
Yeah.
just because you lost your brother Johnny,
Right. Well,
why don't you talk about who Johnny was, how great he was, and then give a feel for that.
okay. It was a long. I would say we were very young. My brothers and sisters and I, Tommy, myself, Maid, and Lisa, and we had to experience loss of a sibling, which was pretty devastating when you just really kids looking up to your older brothers and sisters. That was a real transition was of loss was pretty difficult. My brother Johnny was the oldest brother. Was a great model. In fact, was a what I would call a perfect example of what a student athlete was at the time. When you, if you knew what the urban setup was in East Orange, particularly in the down the way, which we call it uh, North 15th Street, which was one street from Border and Newark. Um, as a kid, I remember some of the best times um, growing up, where a lot of my time was spent at Oval Park. My brother Johnny had to watch Tommy and I, so we would have to attend a lot of the practices. Johnny played for the East Orange Tigers, legendary Little League football team. In fact, was probably the first Little League program in East Orange. And I can remember a lot of times in grade school being, you know, introduced into what organized sports was. Um, During that time, as time went on, I can remember in East Orange, particularly in the late 60s. A lot of people don't know it, but my history goes back all the way into uh, 1967. My sister Fidelia was a graduate, and East Orange High School was particularly known as an academic school, uh, um, not only known for their sports and the other trade, I would say, other curriculums that was going on in the school was really at a height for public schools at that time. My brother Johnny played on one of the back-to-back championship football teams. Probably the last time East Orange was number one in the top 20 star ledger and an undefeated season. I don't think any of the public schools have matched that even till this present time. My brother Johnny was part of a all-star backfield. Just to name a few: Darryl White. I'm sorry, Greg White, the quarterback. Uh, the great Charlie Hinton was the tailback. Ralph Fulks, the fullback, and my brother Johnny uh, was the swing back. And what made that impressive was the fact that at that time, the legendary coach Tom Dean uh, really didn't cater to underclassmen at that time. So for my brother Johnny to be involved and be productive in playing was pretty exceptional. Uh, growing up, that was probably one of the main things you wanted to do because East Orange was, if you played for East Orange, you played for one of the better high schools in the state. And believe it or not, East Orange was involved in one of the best public school, high school athletic conferences known as the Big Ten. A lot of people don't remember the Big Ten, but the Big Ten consisted of I don't know all 10 schools, but Belleville, Nutley, Garfield, Kearney, Bloomfield, East Orange, Montclair, Essex County, Essex Catholic were all participants in the Big Ten, and was a lot of great athletic competition during the Big 10 years. Unfortunately, in 1970, East Orange was kicked out of the Big 10 because of a big fight after a football game, which didn't concern any of the football players or any of the high school students, but from outsiders, from what I remember, and it was a big problem with the incident that occurred, and East Orange subsequently was kicked out of the Big Ten. The football team was, and
Yeah, I
again,
think that was a Belleville game, I think.
right. It was the Belleville game. It was at
big.
one stadium. It was an incident
So, let me
right there.
add some questions. So, and then I want to transition to education. So, you know, so I know that it impacted you personally, and I don't know if you want to talk about it or not.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, there was a lot to talk about because those memories transcended,
Mhm.
and even to this day, people remember Johnny. People always want to talk about how great he is and what a legend and what impact he had on people's lives. And as I mentioned earlier, Johnny was an exception to the rule simply because during that time, the prerequisite for growing up, especially on the teen streets, was either you either went to some type of institution or you got involved in warfare, and heroin use was the start of the heroin epidemic at that time. And my brother Johnny was an exception to the rule simply because not only was he an athlete, but he was a pretty straight guy. I mean, as far as what you would want a student athlete to be. Johnny earned a athletic 4-year athletic scholarship at West Virginia, and that's pretty much exceptional back in that days. You don't really hear too much about that, even though there was some successful people, of course. But Johnny stood out among his peers because of the choices that he made. And
Let's
unfortunately,
let's build on that. So,
well,
I-
yeah, during the year after his graduation, they graduated in June in 1970, and don't forget, the football players have to report to school early. And when he left to go to school early, unfortunately, he had a drowning accident on campus, and you know, to this day, we always, think, that maybe Johnny could have been saved because he DOA'd on his way to the hospital, which means that they failed to resuscitate him on his way to the hospital. Um, it's probably, unfortunately, it's probably something that probably won't happen to a community or to a family. Even though other people have had misfortunes and tragic tragic incidents have occurred in other people's lives. That's probably something that probably won't happen again. For that matter, Johnny has always been one of those idols, what I'm saying, where something that you would want to copy after, you want to keep.
So let's build on that for you. So you were a pretty good football player. Did
Yeah.
you pressure to follow your brother's footsteps? I was told that you were one of the fastest guys on the team. Can you talk a little bit about your football career, and do you have any regrets? What are some of your best memories? And maybe talk about, your college career. I don't think people know about your college football career.
Right. There was a copy. Like I said, I kind of patterned myself after my brother. They gave me number 20, as a memento that I wanted to carry, his legacy. And what made it all impressive, as far as with my career, is that I was playing varsity in the 10th grade.
Can't see your face, Chris. Your face is out of the camera. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. What made that impressive was the fact that I was a 10th grader playing varsity, which was really like unheard of, and I got a chance to play with some outstanding athletes myself, Clarence Turner, Beaumont Mumford, Dial Shears, Robert Welch, just to name a few, Jerome Pierce and Wayne Benson. I can the list goes on, and playing for a state ranked team when you're under 150 pounds, in fact, I probably was only 132 pounds when I was a sophomore. But again, I enjoyed the ride, and the experience was outstanding. And as time went on, my junior year, we were state ranked, and as a senior, I led my team. I was the captain. I made the all orange team, Daily News all county team. Got an opportunity, to go to college and get my education, which it all paid off, So I would say that my career, as far as athletics was concerned, was it all paid off, and it doesn't matter. You know, you know, you have all these stereotypes, but football is a sport, where you're introduced to it at a young age, and it's not a sport that course, you have to have talent, and you got to have the will, the heart to play. But football is a sport where you got to want to play, and I guess that's really what I would say. I was an overachiever because I had no business playing football if you looked at me physically, but because of the fact that I wanted to play, it made me feel like I was 200 pounds.
We called you the juice. You were the juice
Yeah,
back.
and then if you counter it, you add it with speed, you know, under 10 seconds and 100 meters, and a legitimate 4.40,
Pretty
it
good.
all it all balanced out. Speed kills.
Okay, so let's shift
So
gears a little bit. I know education is important to you, and it's important to your family. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of student you were and how you matriculated through high school, and you kind of came a college graduate, had a great career in physical therapy? Could you talk about about that process, about how you actually achieved that?
yeah, well, when you're in grade school, you have all these admirations about what you want to do and what you want to be, and it starts to settle in, especially if when you're by the time you're a senior, and everybody is positioning themselves for going away to school and things like that. Well, me myself, I stayed right here in New Jersey. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson University, and a small college, sports athletic program. But it was good football. It was good conference, and you got a chance to play. And educationally, you always kind of like um, what you want to major in, and what do you want to do. And you start off with political science, and then you say, nah, that's not what I want to do. And then you move your major to something else, and you pretty much undecided till you get like maybe into your first or second, after your first or second year. And then I just simply figured that I wanted to stay in touch with athletics and sports. So I was introduced to recreation, and recreation has a lot of components to it. And at what interests me most about recreation, and what I zeroed in on and focused on, was the therapeutics of recreation. So at Fairleigh Dickinson, we had a undergraduate program in therapeutic recreation, which pretty much specialized in special populations. And being that I was a people's person, I kind of like fell right in. I dove right in it because that's all I wanted to do, was help people anyway. So I majored in therapeutic recreation, and as my working experience goes, I worked at several facilities. I worked with uh, people incarcerated. I worked with mental illness. I worked with physical disabilities. Um, I've worked with adolescents. I worked in psych. I worked in young people. I worked with older people. I had a vast gamut of work experience, and being a therapist, gave me the opportunity, to really like see people come in really in bad shape and then see them, most of them, come out in better shape by offering them group therapy, individual therapy, whether it's adaptive sports or whether it's cognitive therapy, validation therapy, whether it's crafts, whether it's, whether it's field trips, just keeping people balanced was a great working experience because it told you a lot about yourself, and you become more knowledgeable when you work with a whole team of disciplinarians, such as social workers and other therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, doctors, nurses, the whole model of working together. You got a chance to get to know a lot of things that was going on with a person's health, and drawing out a program or a plan for them so that they can get better. And it was a lot different than education. Like I said, I come from a family of educators, and I probably was the only one who felt like I can't stay in the classroom. I don't have enough flexibility or enough mobility to just sit and be in the classroom. I don't think I had the patience, or I didn't give it the patience. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't have been a good teacher. It just meant that I just felt like I needed to be a little bit more flexible, and being a therapist gave me the opportunity,
Right.
to touch upon a lot of
Um,
aspects of a
Let me
person's life.
take the conversation personally in a direction I think that you actually can help someone going forward or help someone that's going through something now. Because as I was saying to people during the setup, that you are truly my role model of dealing with adversity, and that you've been through some some tough times, and you could share as much as you want or not share. But could you talk a little bit how you kind of dealt with some of that adversity and what got you through and how you handled it mentally and kept going and still take care of the family? And you just amazed me how, no matter what was going on with y'all call Chris, you'd be like Ken, I'm in the garden. like,
Right. Well,
like Chris, you can't even do it. What you mean you in the garden? You just keep moving. Like the kid, I'd be like, you my man. Like, tell me how you kept that mindset and just keep moving and doing what you're doing.
yeah. Again, when you have a life changing experience, it kind of like your perception about life. It turns around. It changes everything. I mean, even from not just from your psychological and mental standpoint, but just your just just your diet, changing your diet. I mean, that's what happens when you go through a life changing experience. I mean, something as simple as watching what you eat and no longer eating the things that's not good for you. In 206, I I had a stroke, and not really knowing the symptoms leading up to that day, because I could vastly, vividly remember, I was at work, and just one of the days where you just wasn't feeling well, you wasn't feeling yourself. That's just like an average day. You just go through the day. Headaches and just some symptoms that you really ignore and that you shouldn't ignore. But when you're young and you pretty much, feel invincible to illnesses, because you never got sick. I don't think I even been to the hospital since I was an infant. And all of those stigmas about uh, not being conscious or being reminded of going to the doctors and taking care of yourself. It really is a factor. But again, I'm happy to be here. My life was spared, and the doctors saved my life. Because at one time, we didn't know how it was going to go. I was in a coma for 36 hours, and I can imagine, what kind of feelings, my family may have had at that time. My children were young. My wife wasn't aware of what stroke and seizure was all about. She didn't know what to expect. She didn't know, you know, uh, what it looked like, or how to care for it, or what are the signs, or what what it all entailed. And again, my family uh, come from have a history of hypertension. Again, family was from the South, and a lot of the culture consisted of bad diets. You know, eating pork and eating a lot of salt and drinking corn liquor. That probably was part of the culture in the South when my mother and father was coming up. But again, I had to fight it. You know what I'm saying? I was 45 years old, and I remember doing my rehab days. Uh, I saw a lot of people younger than me, and I wasn't aware that younger people, adolescents, and maybe and sometimes children, can have a CVA, a cardiovascular attack. And again, it was a matter of trying to get myself back and try to get myself to the point where I was able to function and pick up the pieces. But it wasn't that easy. It was a test, that an unbelievable test that my creator has bestowed on me. And even to this day, I'm tested by it. Um, it's to get into your mind that you have to make your doctor's appointments. Now you're on a medication regimen where you have to take medication for the rest of your life. You have to be able to know what your body is trying to tell you. You have to know your symptoms. You can't ignore your symptoms. Uh, and even during the rehabilitation years, and I mean, I went through years and years of rehabilitation from one rehab to the other, inpatient, outpatient, inpatient, outpatient, and you get into your mind and say, well, I'm gonna try to get back as much as I can, because now your financial status change. Uh, you're now disabled, so therefore, um, everything changes in your life. I mean, you have your mortgage, your children are young, they have aspirations. Everything changes uh, when your health is tested. Everything changes, not just for you, but for your whole family. And I can simply remember that you know, maybe if people can hit me and say, well, well, Chris made it, maybe I can make it too. And I hope that I gave people that, you know, that confidence that, that just because something happens to you, and I was lucky. And I didn't end up in a nursing home. I didn't end up, I could have ended up gone. It could have been over, because most people don't recover from strokes, and they can be fatal. And again, I didn't have anything that was, no hemorrhaging on my brain, but I did injure my brain. And whenever you have a brain injury, there's no timetable when it's going to heal. The brain heals itself. And in the midst of saying all of that, is you get to learn more, you read more. And I read, did a lot of reading on what stroke was and what seizure was, and what it all entails, and again, you still have your mortgage, you still have your life insurance, you got to have everything in place. You know what I'm saying? You can't be selfish. You got to make sure that you got to keep it real, and then your life changes because of it. And whether it's your financial aspect, because now you're on a fixed income, and now you have to make sure that you're still able to pay your bills, because nothing stops. Life doesn't stop. The bills still come in. And you have to learn how to adapt to all of those things. And what pretty much kept me alive was my friends, my family, my faith. That's what kept me alive, because there was a lot of times where I couldn't get out of bed. There was a lot of times where I was confined to my house. I couldn't come down the stairs. I couldn't feed myself. Couldn't put my clothes on. All of those things from day one, from the most basic aspects of life, you have to learn all over again. How to talk, how to swallow. The whole recovery kicks in. Every aspect on recovery kicks in, because now you have to go through it. And you know a lot of things that I've learned over my working years, and my experience on seeing people that was ill, and listening to people that was ill, and sitting at people's bedside. Now I'm going through it. So it's a wake up call, and a lot of us don't get a lot of second chances, and that's pretty much how I take it.
So you kind of mentioned your faith in that answer, and I know you're Muslim. Could you talk about what it means to be a Muslim, your faith, how it empowers you, and what are some of your day-to-day routines that maybe give us some perspective on what it's like to be a Muslim?
Well, I don't speak for all the Muslims, but I've been a Muslim for a long time, and it took a lot of baby steps to get to where I'm at right now in my deen. And what Islam did for me was that it kept me in check. Mm-hmm. And probably what makes Muslims different from any other religion is the prayer. And when you establish the salat, you're in a constant communion with your creator. And you get up in the morning, and before the sunrise, and you make prayer. What's better than praying in the morning to start your day? I mean, what's better than that? But again, Islam is a lot of things. It's just not religion. It's a way of life. It's everything that that I perceive in this dunya, in this material world. Um, it all goes back to my belief in being a Muslim. Um, it you just want to just your salvation is clear, and you want to want peace in this world, and you want peace in the hereafter, and you want to save yourself, and you want to save your family, and you want to save your friends, and you want to save them from the fire, and that's my salvation, is to do the best I can, be a good neighbor, you know, be a good husband, a good son, a brother, you know, a father, and try to be as good as I can. Stay away from the things that are displeasing to Allah, and do all the things that you can, while you can with the time that you have. So Islam, it pretty much fell in. It has its place, and again, I'm no extremist, but at the same time, I got it all into perspective, and it's a it worked for me. It worked for me, and I can say that because I come from a family, a Southern Baptist family, and when I say Southern Baptist, I mean a true Southern Baptist family. We in church every Sunday, and all day Sunday, from Sunday school. You go back home, you change your clothes, you go to the main service, you stay at the main service, you eat dinner at the main service because you at the night service. And I just couldn't wait to be able to make my own choices when it came to faith. And you know, Christianity, I was afraid of it. The shouting, the hollering, the crying. Not that I fear people crying and stuff like that. Because there's happy tears, and there's sad tears. And the point I'm making is that Islam had a whole different makeup, and you didn't see that when you went to Juma, when you went to worship, and things just kind of like fit you, and before you get into something, you want to learn about something, and Islam, more than Christianity, it had a history to it. It had a history about my race, about Black Americans, about African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Islam, you know, had a track, had a history. You know what I'm saying? Before we even came to this country, it's not like Christianity was handed to us and we adapted from our oppressors. You know, Islam was different. So again, it worked for me, and again, you have to put work in anything in order for it to work for you. So I do all the things that's necessary for me uh to be a Muslim. I pray in the masjid. I make zakat. I fast during Ramadan. I do all of the things that's pleasing to Allah, and I try to stay away from the things that Allah prohibits. So,
Okay. Let's
you know,
let me let me jump in and shift into your community service stuff. I really think that's interesting. So I know you're part of the football old guard,
right,
and so
right.
so could you tell me about what is, for people that don't know, what is the mission of the old guard, and what has been its impact in terms of galvanizing that community?
Well, the old guard is a fraternity, is a football fraternity that probably belongs to one of the oldest high school, public school rivalry in the state of New Jersey, and that's the Eastorange and the Barringer Thanksgiving game. And once you been a part of that, then you would understand what that value is. And again, like from the years of me growing up, that's always been the talk. You know what I'm saying? If you was on the Newark side, the people from Newark would always talk about the Barringer game. If you was on the East Orange side, the East Orange people would always talk about the Barringer game. And that game just transcended through the years, and you just wanted to become a part of it. And the old guard is a organization where we try to monitor our kids. We try to offer all of the help we can with raising funds and making ourselves visible to the kids so that they can one day become part of it. So it's a community based organization that offers services, not only to the East Orange Barringer rivalry, but it also reaches out to other organizations within the community, and we try to make sure that we're, uh, we're our objective is basically uh, to help, be a community, be an organization that help other people. So it's a good organization to belong to, especially when it's handed over and it's passed down from generation to generation, and the history uh, is never watered down. It's just as big now as it was years before me, and hopefully uh, when we're when I'm finished, it'll be passed down to the younger generation uh, years in front of me.
Okay.
Um,
Uh, moving
you
not
try
moving.
to you want to keep yourself active because it's you're gonna be asked, what have you done with the time that you had, and serving your community is probably one of the best things that you can do. So if it's the East Orange Old Guard or the East Orange Hall of Fame, or whether it's a monitor and brotherhood ship of big brothers ship in the masjid, where we try to mentor young people and people, disadvantaged people, and try to show people how to pray and try to show people to get off the streets. And it's a whole gamut of trying to uplift people once you're involved in groups and organizations.
All right. So, believe it or not, we're running up on our hour. So it's been first I want to say thank you for taking the time. But I have one more question for you before I let you go. But you want to appreciate your time that you made for this. You kind of did it last minute, and I appreciate that. And I know people wanted to see and hear from you, so I'm glad you made the time. But my last question is, we're both 60. We've been around a couple blocks, to say a few. We got some history. So, what are some of your hopes? So what should be at this age as men, what should be some of our hopes and dreams for our future as we go from 60 to 70? What are you looking forward to in life in terms of, now that you said you got this second chance, right? So what are some of your hopes and dreams?
Yeah, well, I think about that all the time. And when I pray, I don't just pray for myself, because see, Muslims are productive. And we have a term called nahasana, which means purity of the heart. And you don't only want to help your family, but you want to help other people's family, and entering these years, you always want to set out for yourself to be the best example as you can. Mm-hmm. So if I could be an example for others, then I would have been a help to others. Giving advice, making sure that I'm all right, making sure that things are going okay in my life. And that way you can pass it on to your children. You can pass it on to your brother. You can pass it on to your sister. But what's more important than anything is that you have to be okay, because it's very difficult to tell someone about themselves when you don't have yourself together. So the most important thing is getting yourself together, and that character is it lasts forever. It's a lifetime, and it's a lifelong work that each day that you have, you want to be thankful and you want to be grateful, and you want to be able to let people know. You want to let people know, what you want to go around and what you shouldn't go around. You want to let people know what are good choices and what are bad choices. And you start by showing people and being an example yourself. So, if there's any kind of legacy or any kind of reputation that I would want to leave behind is, I wanted to be a good example. And that's much.
That's a nice ending point right there, because I think you've been the perfect example for me, as I mentioned, and I want to thank you for that. Being a good friend, loving friend, been there during some good times and bad times. And of course, you're going to be there in the future. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. And I love you, man.
Okay, Ken.
You're my boy.
All right. I hope that I helped you.
Well, All right, well, you're all right.
I know, man. Hey, when you're a therapist, you do the counseling stuff, man. That's one thing we all have in common, man. We talkers.
Yeah, we're talking. So, well, teaching is counseling too. You know that. So,
That's right. That's right. You wear a lot of hats, man.
yeah. But one, thank you. But I give you a couple of minutes to say some words to the folks out there, wrap it up, and we'll call it a wrap. So, what you want to say going out?
Well, I would say to everyone out there, we have a way of saying goodbye and taking care of yourself, and that's Alhamdulillah, Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh, Assalamu alaikum, Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. May everyone stay safe, even the people that I don't know, people who are homeless, people who are institutionalized, people who are spiritually absent. I don't even have to know you. Anybody who seeks help and people who are energized and focused on change. I think that it's never too late. You either going forward or you either going backwards. No one is standing still. And I say that to say we're living in times where Allah, our Creator, is talking to us. We just gotta listen. So I wrap up by saying, take care of yourself and may Allah bless you and keep doing what you're doing as long as it's pleasing to Allah.
Yeah. Well, Chris, want to say thank you. Thanks for supporting the Daniels Foundation. That's kind of who is supporting all these interviews here, and I'm sure people will be, thankful for those kind words you just said there, and appreciate you making the time. And happy holidays, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, take care.